I think it's fair to say this is going to be an interesting shoot tonight. Oh, this wind is horrendous. Right, this is going to be a tough old shoot. I went the wrong way trying to find this damn place, and I just spent the last 2 hours walking along the coast trying to find it until I eventually got back in my car in a huff and I googled it and I found it straight away. So because it can be a little bit difficult to find, I'll leave notes down below including a Google Maps indicator, so you'll be able to click on that and hopefully it should be able to bring you straight here and not go to where I went, following instructions, by the way, from the internet. Oh, this is going to be a bit of a tough one tonight. Got an hour before sunset. It's looking really, really miserable, and it is blowing a hoolie to say the least. Apparently, to get to where I need to get to take the photographs of these engine houses or mines, whatever they are, I've got a bit of a tricky walk and I don't fancy it with wind that's as horrendous as this. Let me take you outside into the wind. You see what I mean? It's really, really, really bad, and I'm not sure whether I fancy walking across a very narrow bit with a drop off on either side, but we're going to have a look. Must admit though, it does look good. Can you see them down there? I think it was quoted as saying the most photographed mine in the world, or mines, or shafts, wherever they are. Excuse me for not doing my research, but it's just while I was down in this area, I thought, I can't leave without taking a photograph of them. So I've been in Devon for the past 4 days and I meant to have headed back today, but I remembered these mine shafts being in this vicinity, and so I thought there's no way I could leave the Devon area use that term very loosely. There's no way I can leave the Devon area without paying these guys a visit and photographing them. However, from Devon to get to here today took me 2.5 hours. So that's just nipping on to photograph these. 2.5 hours, just to put that into perspective. For me, travelling from Yorkshire, oh, I've just seen where I've got to go, oh dear. For me, travelling from Yorkshire, I can go pretty much anywhere on the east coast, Filey, Whitby, Flamborough Head, all the way up north, as far as Newcastle, Sunderland, and pretty much beyond. In 2.5 hours I can pretty much do that. Going along the west coast, I can go to the Lake District. Travelling south, I can go to North Wales. So for the length of time it's taken me to travel from Devon, just nipping on to grab a photograph of this, I could have, in theory, relatively speaking, been in any one of those places. So I'm now going to have to extend my trip here for one more day, because I think, according to the sat-nav, it was something like 6 hours and 15 minutes to get back from here to Yorkshire. Oh, I tell you what though, when I was in Devon I was really treated to some fantastic views. But this beats the lot. Look at that, look at that. The A1 spot. It says so in the guidebooks. You've got to mosey across and shoot from opposite. Right, moseying across. means. I've got to traverse this down here, but worse still, there's a very, very narrow path just there that nips across, and it's got a huge drop off to the left and to the right. And of course it is blowing a hoolie, so I don't really fancy it. But as I've said numerous times, no pain, no gain. It's all about risk and reward. But of course, it's also about not being stupid. Right, let me walk up to it and take a look. On an ordinary day, when it's not windy, you'd probably just walk across here without thinking too much about it. But oh geez, let me show you. Oh, let me show you this. We can do it. Oh. It does get a bit narrow, I've got to tell you. Oh, yes, come on. Risk and reward. That's a bit scary. I've got to tell you, that was a bit scary. No, I'm not going to do anything fancy. The light is really, really pants. Thick cloud on the horizon. I did all my research today. Really high cloud, about 68% coverage it said, but really high cloud, no mid, no low cloud, and then you end up with it looking like that. The chances of it being a fantastic sunset was about 68%, which is the highest that I've seen on my app. It just goes to show all the research in the world, but you know what, I haven't got light on these boys, but I don't care. I'm going to photograph them to the best of my ability and to the best of the conditions that I'm currently faced with. It's all you can do. I'm not sure how exciting this is going to be for you guys to watch, but I'll try and take some time lapses. That sea is churning up a treat, and I daren't go any closer to the cliff edge than where I currently am. Nice though. Beautiful. Just a slither of light breaking through the clouds. That's all I'm asking for. What a picturesque place. Oh, now you can argue time and time again about those honeypot locations and all the people that say you shouldn't shoot the honeypot locations, and I've always said come and shoot the honeypot locations. Well, guess what? If I drove all the way down here, that would have been a 6.5 hour journey just to grab these pictures. Well, of course I'm going to take a honeypot location. I'm scouting looking for other compositions, but I very much doubt that I'll find anything new. Well, I haven't got time to find anything new anyway. But yeah, I just want to grab this shot, a few different compositions, long shutter speeds, play around with those shutter speeds with the crashing waves, and let's see what we get. Right, what I've decided to do is I'm not going any closer to the cliff edge than where I currently am, and I'm sat down about 3 foot away from the edge, and the reason is because it is blowing a gale and I can't afford to stand up because I just don't want to take that risk, that's all. So I've got the camera nice and solid on a really low tripod, and I'm just going to stick with one composition. But then what I'm going to do is I'll experiment with shutter speeds. But when I say experiment with shutter speeds, I'm going to use something like a half a second shutter speed there or thereabouts. But then what I'm going to do is, as the waves are breaking on different parts of the image, I'm going to click away, and then I'll bring the best of each image together and combine them to make one image. Very easy thing to do in Photoshop, just stack them and paint the good bits in or the bad bits out. But just as a timeline goes now, it's quite literally 12 minutes away from sunset. It's a little bit disappointing. I said last week on last week's videos that to be a good landscape photographer you have to moan at everything, but unfortunately there are times when you are genuinely upset. In the background the sky isn't too bad, but where the sun is dropping, there's just no set at all. It's just a bank of cloud and it's just awful. But I'm holding on to my camera bag with one hand here and my tripod leg here, and I've sat my ass down because I'm a big unit and I'm blowing about a bit. But yeah, nothing silly. Ooh, nice. Nothing silly, just grab a couple of shots with varying shutter speeds. That's all I can do, really. It was a lot windier than it seemed on the video. When I was chatting to the camera, I was away from the edge of the cliff to shelter from the wind. The wind was like a double-edged sword. On one hand, it meant the waves were decent, but it also restricted me from standing closer to the edge. I really wanted to use every millimetre of my 16mm lens to show off the waves beneath my feet a lot more than I actually could. Me being me though, I did eventually pluck up the courage to stand up, and I attempted to capture more of that gorgeous wavy sea. I think it's less risky photographing lions and tigers. In actual fact, that there is a really nice shot, and I'm going to grab that before I fall over the cliff. Let's grab a couple more shots, and then I think I'll call that a night. Okay, push the boundaries maybe a little bit too far there, but hopefully I've got a shot or two, but I don't think it's going to get any better.